Welcome to the Four Rooms podcast, where we explore the four rooms of entrepreneurship: health, wealth, scale, and relationships. Each episode is dedicated to opening new doors and uncovering insights that empower you to design your entrepreneurial journey to be both lucrative and fulfilling. And now, your hosts, Amber Spears and Brett Kaufman.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Four Rooms podcast. I am your host, Brett Kaufman, and I am joined with Mr. Kevin. Kevin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Brett. Thanks for asking.
Of course. Well, one of the first things I want to touch on, this is for our audience that is not going to be watching it, but can hear it. You have an amazing background, and I know that a lot of what you do is very intentional. So can you describe the setup in your office right now?
Setup in my office. Okay, so this is just audio, not video. Okay.
No, this will be video too. I'm saying for those that are going to be like just listening to it, I want them to be able to like see what you got or imagine.
Yeah. Well, behind me, I have credenza. Phenomenal story about that credenza and the desk that's underneath me. Very quickly, we were expanding our marriage and family counseling business, and the landlord was on the other side of the floor that we were on, and we were outgrowing where we were. So I went and said, "Landlord, would you mind moving out?" And he said, "You can't afford my space. I'm not moving out." And I said, "Well, I couldn't really afford the space that we're in. We're already outgrowing it. So, I can still believe." And so after Christmas, which was just a month later, he came back to me and said, "I've been thinking about moving out. Actually, I can't stop thinking about it. So you can move out." The problem was then we had no furniture. So this credenza behind me and this desk in front of me, there was a bank that was downsizing. They were going to demolish the building and all of the banking furniture in the building, right? So everybody knows what banking furniture kind of looks like, right? It's solid and sturdy and expensive. And I got a phone call saying this to me and saying, if you would like it, we have got about $50,000 to $100,000 worth of furniture that you can come and pick up if you just, find a few lads in a truck. So I have the bank manager's credenza and his desk right underneath me. So on the credenza, there's a sign, and the sign says, "Believe." For those of you who can see by video, for those of you who are using your mind's eye, belief drives behavior. And so it's actually one of the core fundamentals of everything that I do, right? We're either believing something that's accurate or we're believing something that's faulty. And it drives everything we do, right? So it's crucial that, our beliefs are aligned, centered. The other thing underneath the belief word behind me is a Celtic Trinity knot. And there's three interweaving. I'm not sure what that shape is, but it's like
It's like a circle kind of triangle.
It's a triangle with kind of three squashed like rectangles, kind of, but rounded, and then there's a circle in between them, which for me just stand for life, love, and leadership. And you can't separate them, and so the circle intersects all of them. And a lot of times we like to believe that life is segmented, and maybe to some degree it is, but at the same time, everything is connected. And so that's what's behind me.
I love that. That was great. And also it feeds so into our first conversation when we met about right place, right time, and how you even got into what you're doing now, because you were telling me how, you were not in this world of what you do on the counseling side. You were working so many hours, and you were like, I'm making good money, but there's a disconnect between you and your partner. And then that kind of led you to this path. So I'd love for you to tell the listeners, what were you doing prior, and then how you got into this crazy world that you're in now?
Yeah, well, I was working with people before, just in a different world altogether. I was giving the very best of me away to all these people. They didn't know, they weren't making that happen, right? But that was happening, right? And so I was bringing home the dregs to Deb. Deb is my bride of 30 years. We celebrate 30 years this August, man. Can you believe that?
It's amazing.
So, I know. So it's a minor miracle right there. Well, 7 years in, You've heard about the 7-year itch. Well, we did not have a 7-year itch. We hit the rocks 7 years in, because though we loved each other dearly, man, I didn't know it, but I was trying to milk love, acceptance, worth, and security from my work. I couldn't articulate that to you then, but that's what was happening. And Deb's love language is not words of affirmation. So it didn't matter how many times I told the girl, I love you, with everything that's in me. One day she said to me, do you know what your words mean to me? And I'm like, oh, tell me, baby. Tell me what my words mean to you. She said, your words mean jack to me.
Wow.
Which was like a knife in the heart. Yeah. So I had to figure out how to love, to live, to lead, to do this gig, this adventure called marriage, right? Speaking her language, right? And her language was acts of service and quality time, right? Which is a phenomenal tool, right? It's an aid, in this relationship adventure gig, but it's not a solve-all by any means. However, even just on that tool alone, I was failing miserably. So 7 years in, we hit the rocks, man. We ended up in Blairsville, Georgia, Blue Ridge Mountains, North Georgia. I mean, hadn't a continent clue where that was. All sorts of stories and shenanigans on our way just to get to the place, to meet with a couple, elderly couple who specialized in working with leadership couples, which Debbie and I were in leadership at the time. And that changed the trajectory of our lives, Brett. We went back to Ireland for another 3 years, and which I probably should let the listeners know, I'm not from Alabama. I'm from Dublin.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. I forgot to actually highlight that difference. So, yes, all of that to say, here we are 25 years later. 25 years-ish later. Math was never great for me, but 25-ish years later, working with leaders, and we have a big team of marriage and family therapists that work with the whole family, specialists for the whole family. And so that's where we are now in Atlanta, Georgia.
But tell us what happened with the couple. You met with this elderly couple. You were on the rocks. Like, what were the aha light bulb moments that went off?
Yeah, so good, man. Well, belief drives behavior might have actually come from them. I can't remember, but it might have come from them. There was a massive shift. Light bulbs, so many, right? In that, it was a 2-day intensive that we had with them. My beautiful bride, she experienced sexual abuse when she was a kid multiple times, and all sorts of trust challenges for her, control challenges for her, just right. Light bulb moments were that who we are today is fashioned based upon what's happened to us, what's been spoken over us, into us, all the way along. Shapes us, wires us into who we are today. Most people, if we said life's like a riverbed, Brett, most people have boulders and tree trunks fall into the riverbed of their lives. And most of us haven't a clue about how to deal with those boulders and tree trunks, right? Yeah. So I'm actually going to, for those watching on video, I'm going to pop this up on screen, I think. Maybe I'm not. But for those listening, if you imagine me just having a white piece of paper and drawing the outline of a riverbed, right? 2 sides of a riverbed.
Oh, well, it's on screen.
Yeah. And in the riverbed, like if your life is like a riverbed, right? In the riverbed, boulders and tree trunks, have fallen because of stuff that's happened, in life. And I'm not talking about anything necessarily traumatic, right? Just big stuff that's happened along the way that's actually hurt, right?
Sure.
Most of us do the best we can with what we have to try to keep plugging forward. Yeah, we don't know how to deal with the boulders and tree trunks, right? So a lot of times we have excess baggage that we're dragging into every situation, circumstance. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so what happened in this intensive was we were helped process our boulders and our tree trunks so that the quality of life, let's make this come on, let's make this river green. Let's just make it green, not because it's St. Patrick's Day, just because we can. All right. So when you process the baggage, right, the boulders and the tree trunks, you just get to experience so much more power, so much more current, so much more fulfillment in and through your life than ever you were able to right before. And to me, that's God's presence. That's His supernatural enabling power in every situation, in every domain of life, and in a huge way. So many people, and we've worked with thousands of people since then. So many people say, "I feel so much lighter, I feel so much freer, I feel so much clearer," and it's then that you're ready to actually experience tools, right? But you know, a lot of times people try to apply tools before they've dealt with the foundation, before they've dealt with the beliefs, right? Whether they be limiting beliefs or liberating truths. And they haven't taken care of any excess baggage, and that's a huge part of the process, I think. So that's one of the massive things that happened for Debbie and I, and that was huge, man.
Wow. Okay. I was getting a little bit like emotional because it's like this is so it's so important, and it's just like the amount of aha and breakthroughs that I've had because of this has been huge. I mean, when I sent you that video of me and Amber at the David Bayer event, he's a member of ours, and he touched on something similar, but different languages, different terms, and just like I've quote unquote been in that game for a while, meaning just I've been studying personal development for over a decade, but the reminders you need around it are huge, and I've gotten a lot more attached to my background of being Jewish, and I actually went to study in a what's called yeshiva, which is a Torah. Basically, you go to university, study Torah, and I lived in Jerusalem for a while. Wow. That's where I really started to like create a deep relationship with God. And for me, what I love is Passover's coming up, and I was listening to this really good shiur, which is Hebrew for class, and they were saying that we had a Passover Seder the night before we left Egypt. And you're like, how does that make any sense? Like we were like, we left, like, how can you celebrate? Like why are we commemorating something that happened before it even happens? And the lesson behind that, the reason why we did that was because it was so you could see yourself in freedom. And then when you went through it, you already knew what freedom looked like, which is another way when we talk about manifestation, when you're talking about this, it's like, I just love that regardless of what you believe or like what your background is, it all weaves together like the fundamental principles. And it's the key to happiness. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Huge.
Oh, huge. I love this shit so much.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. In fact, you just reminded me, when I was a kid in Ireland, I grew up working class family, right? Like tennis, I love tennis, man. I mean, so much. I played on the streets of Dublin and then played in the public parks, and then was saving my pounds at the time, my pennies and my pounds, to buy this Slazenger tennis racket, and this aluminium Dunlop Slazenger tennis racket, and gold and black. And I would watch the coach tennis after I'd make a payment, and I'd go down. If he was out there coaching, I'd watch. And I noticed one day all of the balls getting spread over the court, and I thought to myself, you know what, that student would get a whole lot more time with this coach if those balls were like all in one corner, when they turned around to pick them up, So I just snuck onto the court, pushed all the balls into a corner, snuck back off the court, sat on the side, was just trying to pick up any kind of nugget that I could, Yeah. And the coach kind of turned around after, he was about to pick up all the balls. I'm like, what lucky leprechaun just tidied all these balls, right? And he saw me on the side, and he gave me the nod, and I nodded back. And after he was finished, he said, "Hey, kid, do you like tennis?" I said, "I love tennis." He's like, "Do you play?" I said, "I do." He said, "See what you just did there for me?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How would you like to do that for me while I coach my students, and I'll coach you for free? What do you think?"
Wow.
And I said, "Let me pray about that." Yes. Yes. Yeah, And so his name was Miles Downey, man. And I went there because he traveled all over the world. But one of the things he helped me with was visualization. And in the game of tennis, just seeing the ball going where I wanted it to go before I was hitting the ball.
It's huge.
Yeah. I mean, so I'd mix that with me and God. We'd have a little prayer conversation, like, God, let this be an ace, please. Let this be an ace. While I was seeing it going there. And it helped me, man. It helped me tons. So, yeah.
That's why I love the tools of like breath work, like, and journaling. So I've learned I'm an expert manifester, which can be good or bad, because if I program my mind to think negatively, I have attracted so much of what I wanted to avoid, but it was the movie that was always playing. But then also the reverse happened. When I would program and see the positive, it would happen there. So understanding I had this superpower, I think I started realizing about 6 months ago. Like the awareness I have now when I walk around, or like when I have a thought in my mind, especially if like something negative pops up, it's like, nope, I'm going to, plug out this and don't want this to be stuck in my brain, because how we attract that, whether it's good or bad. It's so great that I have this awareness now.
So you look, and I cannot respond. I cannot not. Okay, this is double negative. Respond to that, dude, because what you're talking about is not going camping, and I'm going to share this with a really quick story. If we have time.
Time? Let it rip.
All right. Okay. So in our lives, there are a lot of different experiences. These dashes represent experiences. Again, for those of you listening, I've got a white piece of paper in front of me. I'm just writing dashes across the top, right, horizontally. They represent people and they represent experiences in our lives. If we have a positive experience, we're going to feel positive emotion, right? If we have a negative experience, we're going to feel negative emotion. No matter where we come from, we are emotional beings in part, right? And we're all a mixed bag. We've all had positive experiences, negative experiences, positive relationships, negative relationships, right? The other thing that's happening is that we have a cognition or a belief system, right, that's also developing as life is happening. And we're making conclusions, right, as to how all the people see us, how we see them, whether they're trustworthy or not, whether we think we're trustworthy or not, Some of these conclusions are accurate, some of them are faulty, right? Like some of the most common are, I'm not good enough. It comes from like life that's happened, right, along the way. And we make conclusions all the time, right? Or I am good enough, right? Yeah. Like I'm good at the core. No, I'm bad at the core, right? I mean, and so the conclusions that we make, they're either accurate or they're faulty, right?
Yeah.
There was a season in my life, this is where it connects to what you just spoke, where I ended up building a tent around the negatives of somebody really, really, really close to me in my life. And when you build a tent focusing on the vulnerabilities, weaknesses, negatives, that's all you're able to see. Everything else is outside the tent, right? And the only thing that can happen is you end up building or digging kind of a sinkhole for that relationship, right?
Yeah.
That it's only a matter of time before you fall in, right? And because what you focus on ultimately is going to affect how you feel, because feelings follow where the mind is set, yeah? Which is why you said, get out of here, get out. I'm not letting you stay here, right? Because you know that feelings follow focus, and functioning isn't far behind, or behavior, right, isn't far behind. One day, Debbie, this is the person who I built the tent around, unintentionally, but I did it. My responsibility, right? She says to me, Kev, you're like a Vulcan. I'm like, what? And I knew there was somebody on Star Wars or Star Trek, I think it was Star Wars, and he was a Vulcan, and I just knew, like, he didn't have any emotion. Well, I'm like, she can't be talking about me, because I am full of emotion. Part of it was that I had gotten numb in our relationship, because I was focusing on the negatives, vulnerabilities, weaknesses in my bride. And I had to take down the tent, Brett, and put up a sign, no camping. And I love camping, but not this kind of camping, right? And that's what I thought of when you said that, right? Because after that, then you develop coping mechanisms, survival strategies, or flesh patterns, right? Just to deal with life, right?
Yeah.
And in here, in the beliefs, we either have limiting beliefs or we have liberating truths. And all of life, I believe, is about, right, kicking the stinking thinking ones out, right? Like you just described, and replacing them with liberating truths that give you life, right? That are oxygen, that are hopeful, right? That are, empowering, and ultimately drive the types of behavior that you want to have in your life.
So beautiful. It's just like this stuff is so important. There is something that I have implemented. I did not come up with this. It's just been such a great benefit to my life. I call it mandatory happy moments. And this is where, so it's like, okay, I could see this in the past and be like, okay, logically this makes sense, but these things are still happening in my day-to-day life that's causing me harder time to get into a positive state. So I just kind of digging myself into a grave around the negative beliefs. So I started instituting mandatory happy moments where I would schedule in things that I loved every single day that I had to do. Just like client meetings I have to do, going to the gym I have to do. So just other things in my life that are mandatory. I do fun things that are mandatory daily, and it just stacks good energy. So then therefore I'm more primed to think positively, and therefore I'm able to attract more. When I had that switch, it was like it's just something I was like, where has this been my entire life? I'm so grateful for this tool.
Yeah, I love that. It's just intentionality, right?
Yeah.
In order to be intentional, we have to realize it's missing, right? So a lot of times we don't even know what's missing.
Yeah.
So it's a great question to ask, hey, what's missing? Because I can't replace it. I don't know if it's not there.
You know what's funny? We went now 20 minutes in. We haven't even talked about specifically who you serve and who you help. So I feel like it's probably helpful for people to know, aside from just you dumping so much great knowledge right there. Who do you help?
Yeah, so I have two companies. One is a marriage and family therapy company, right? So families, so husbands and wives, dads and mums, right? Kids, and individuals, right? In the mix of all of that. So we have a big team, about 15 therapists and 20 on the team altogether, and that's on the marriage and family therapy side. On the other organization, we work with entrepreneurs, right? We work with business owners, who look successful on the outside, but on the inside they're stretched or stuck or disconnected. Yeah, that's who we work with.
I mean, that's why I'm so excited for you to experience one of our events, because it's like the people in the room, they're like, we have the money. How do we scale in the other areas of our life? Yeah. And that's what we stand for. So I love that is something you teach on.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw the ad on Facebook, I think, or Instagram, like 4 rooms. I'm like, 4 rooms? Where's the 4 rooms? Why is it not 3 rooms? 4 rooms. I have to press this. I have to click. And then I just saw some clips from some of the sessions, and I thought, I think these might be my people. We work with leaders across body, being, balance, and business.
Yeah.
And so physical, spiritual, relational, and vocational, or business. And so, because it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah. I love it.
We're going to move into my favorite segment of the show. It's our second to last segment. It's called One Hot Minute. And this is if someone just watched 60 seconds of this clip, which you basically already did with your other stuff you're explaining, but now I'm going to throw you on the spot for a third one. And they just only listen to this 60-second sound bite. It could be a belief, a mantra, a lesson, whatever it is. What do you want them to walk away with from this one 60-second clip?
So good. I would say, what if there was a place so safe where the very best about you and the very worst about you could be known, and you could be loved more, not less, in the sharing of it? My name is Kevin Daly, and I work with entrepreneurs who look successful on the outside but feel stretched or stuck or disconnected on the inside. I help founders and CEOs break free from burnout and rebuild what matters most, and scale their life, not just their businesses. So if you're craving clarity or alignment and a leadership style that's rooted in authenticity, not performance, then I would be so honored to walk with you. Let's build a business and a life that you don't need to escape from. You can reach out to me at brokenchainsintl.com or livelovelead.info.
That was so powerful. I dropped my stress ball in excitement. That was how powerful that was. Amazing. And you actually finished the last part of the segment, which is how can people find you? But we just got that taken care of right there. So well done.
Thank you.
Kevin, it was an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for sharing so much wisdom.
You know, I like, this is your gift, dude. You make it so easy, right? Like in your responses, we play tennis, dude. We just hit the ball back and forth, right? And it just seemed like, wait, did we plan this? We didn't plan this, but yeah.
And it was a fast 25 minutes. That literally blinked, and all of a sudden we're at clock. So that was great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
You're a great interviewer, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we'll have you on again.
Awesome. Well, hey, go. So when does Level 6, did you say, finish?
Tonight's our graduation performance.
Oh,
Crazy. Started in June, and now we're the last dance for the 7 of us together. But then we have tryouts, and tryouts are gonna be super fun. What I love the most about improv, if I just may go on a little tangent, because it's so fun. It teaches you how to get out of your head into your heart, and it gives you an excuse to play because we forget to play. Yeah. But I think the most enjoyable thing is you just get to trust yourself more, because a suggestion from the crowd could be like a pen, right? And you don't have time to second guess yourself because you literally have to go immediately. So whatever your instincts are, and that's such a disconnect a lot of people have, trusting their gut, trusting their instincts, you learn to reattach yourself to that trust you have. And it doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth, because the audience just wants to see you try. And then when you understand that, well, you just get that safety and freedom to be as ridiculous as you want to be, which is the most beautiful, just gift that I've received. So I've been in many forms of therapy. Therapy's phenomenal. Improv has been the best form of therapy I've done.
Because it's done what? Freed you more? Is that what you mean, or what?
Yeah, it's freed me more. It's given me a lot more confidence in my ability that whatever, especially as an entrepreneur, whatever happens in life, I know I'm going to be okay because I can think on my feet. I can improvise whatever is happening. And that I stopped second guessing myself. And I go with what I know I need to do. And that has been such a lesson I didn't realize I was going to have until doing this for several months. And I was like, oh wow. When we hit level 4, I was like, got it. This is the golden nugget that in my case I knew God wanted me to really get out of this experience. Because I started improv. So what I love is when I was in yeshiva, there was a lesson that was taught that was in Judaism. When you look back at all these terrible things that have happened to us, you'll notice that God put the cure right before the disease, right before the terrible thing happened. Yeah. And in my case, June I started June I started improv, late June. August I had 3 major life altering events happen in the span of 7 days. I blew everything up. Wow. And improv was the thing that got me through it. And I don't know if I would have been successful in getting through it without that. And at that point when I was doing it, I was safe enough with my classmates to really open up. But that was level 1. I would not have done that. So it accelerated my healing process because I was already in a safe environment with people where I could express myself.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Well done, man. Almost like somebody knew what was going to happen and wanted to equip you with a sacred space called improv with 6 warriors alongside you to help you through. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So, hey, do me a favor. Say a prayer for a few couples that are coming in tomorrow through Friday for a breakthrough intensive that I get to facilitate. And it's all about everything that we're talking about right now. So, thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for staying in touch. And I look forward to reaching back out as soon as I can. Okay?
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Have a great last night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
As we wrap up today's episode, we have something special just for you. If you've been inspired by what we've explored today and you're ready to take your learning to the next level, then our 4 Rooms Mastermind live event is the perfect next step. And because you're a part of our podcast family, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your registration when you apply and are accepted. This is your chance. It's your chance to build relationships with other ambitious entrepreneurs like yourself, to dive deeper into the 4 rooms of entrepreneurship, and to connect with experts who can truly help accelerate your growth. Simply follow the event link in the description of this episode and use the promo code 4rooms10. That's FOURROOMS10 on your application to claim this opportunity. This offer is subject to application approval and it's limited, so don't wait too long to make your decision. Join us and transform your journey with the insights and networking that only our live events can offer. Thank you for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you at the event and, of course, right back here next time on the 4 Rooms podcast. Until then, keep balancing and keep growing.